Pew, 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 pew. That's the cars going by. So let's talk about this. The Forgotten Series, Episode 14, Fzero. Fzero is a series of futuristic racing video games originally created by Nintendo EAD with multiple games developed by outside companies. The first game was released for the Super Famicom in Japan in 1990, and along with North American Super Nintendo Entertainment System in 1991, its success prompted Nintendo to create multiple sequels on subsequent game consoles. The series is known for its high-speed racing, characters and settings, difficult gameplay and original music, as well as for pushing technological limits through one of the fastest racing games of all time. The original title inspired the creation of games such as Daytona USA and the Wipeout series. The series has been dormant since release of F-Zero Climax in 2004 in Japan, although elements of the series has been represented in other Nintendo video games, most notably the Super Smash Bros. And Mario Kart franchise. Past installments have been emulated across multiple Nintendo consoles via Virtual Console Service, where the original F-Zero is one of the selected games emulated on the Super NES Classic Edition. F-Zero is one of the launch titles for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System Nintendo Switch Online Collection, released on September 5th in 2019. So let's get into the games of the F-Zero series and dive a little bit deep into the history. The first game in the series originally launched for the Super NES, F-Zero, which was also the first game for the platform to use a technique that Nintendo called Mode 7 scrolling. When Mode 7 was combined with scaling and positioning of the layer of the scale line by scale line bases, it could simulate 3D environments, such as technique in games, which were considered to be revolutionary in a time when most console games were restricted to a static flat background and two-dimensional 2D objects. The result was developer Nintendo EAD creating a game that IGN reviewer Craig Harris called the fastest and smoothest pen-to-scroll 3D console racer of its time. Years later, BSF-Zero Grand Prix was released for the Super Famicom satellite-based expansion, Satellview. It was released in several pods and featured an update of the first game. It was followed up by BSF-Zero Grand Prix 2, which was another expansion which featured brand new courses. Zero Races G-Zero was a canceled game for the Virtual Boy. The game was previewed by Nintendo Power. Gameplay differs in one important part from its predecessor in all F-Zero games released afterwards. In Zero Races, unlike F-Zero games, the vehicles race in all three spectacle dimensions and tunnels. After a 7-year hiatus outside Japan, the series made the transition to 3D with the third installment. F-Zero X on the Nintendo 64, the game introduces 26 new vehicles, while also including the 4 from the original F-Zero game. In addition to a Grand Prix mode, the game includes a Death Race mode and a random track generator called the X Cup. In the Death Race, the player's objective is to annihilate the 29 other racers as speedily as possible, while the X Cup generates a different set of tracks each time played. The hardware limitations of the N64 resulted in the game running at 60 frames per second, with 30 machines on screen at the same time, but with little processing power left for graphical detail and music. A Nintendo 64 Double D Edition expansion, F-Zero X expansion kit was released in Japan as the last 64 Double D add-on disc for the system. The expansion kit added a course editor, a vehicle editor, 2 new cups, 3 new machines, and new music. The course editor was the main attraction of this expansion and was praised for its depth, as it was virtually the same program the game designers used to make the courses. Then F-Zero Maximum Velocity came and launched, which was the fourth installment in the series, but the first incarnation of the franchises for Nintendo's Game Boy handheld. It was the first title developed by the first-party subsidiary ND Cube. This Game Boy Advance launch title returned to the SNES F-Zero gameplay with a Mode 7 style game engine. Then came out F-Zero GX, which was released for the GameCube and developed by Sega Amusement's Vision team, and is the first F-Zero game to feature a story mode. The game was initially titled F-Zero GC. The arcade counterpart of GX was called F-Zero AX, which was released alongside of its Nintendo GameCube counterpart in mid-2003. The game had three types of arcade cabinets: Standard, the Monster Ride, and the Deluxe, which resembled F-Zero's vehicle. F-Zero AX had 6 original courses and 10 original characters. However, by certain difficult means, the 6 courses and 10 characters could be unlocked in F-Zero GX. After F-Zero.GX, F-Zero GP Legend, which was another handheld game released for the Game Boy Advance, and the second installment featuring an actual story mode. However, this one is based on the anime series of the same name, introducing a new character named Ryu Sasuke, Rick Wheeler. Unlike the game before it, GP Legend takes place in an alternate continuality set in the 22nd century, instead of following the original continuality set in the 26th century. After F-Zero-GP Legend came out, we had F-Zero Climax, which was released in Japan for the Game Boy Advance in October 21st, 2004. Like its handheld predecessor, F-Zero GP Legend Climax was published by Nintendo and developed by both teams Uzak. This is the first F-Zero game to have had a built-in track editor without the need for an expansion or add-on. Custom tracks can be saved to one of 30 slots for future use, and they can be exchanged with other players via link cable. If memory becomes full or link cable connections cannot be done, the game can generate a password for the track, which is in any input on the Climax cartridge. The password will generate the track. So let's get into a little bit of the gameplay. Each of the games in F-Zero series requires the players to beat opponents to finish the line while avoiding obstacles such as landmines and slip zones. The game usually requires a mixture of memorization of the tracks and quick reflexes for its fast-paced racing gameplay. In F-Zero and F-Zero Maximum Velocity, a speed boost is given to the player for each lap completed, starting with F-Zero X. Players may execute speed boosts if they have finished at least one lap, but now in exchange for losing energy when boosting. It is therefore necessary to use recharge chips around courses to replenish the energy or risk exploding when it drops to zero. Strategically situated dash plates allow boosts without energy loss in combination with course obstacles. Drivers are also allowed to attack each other with their vehicle bodies. The game's panels include different climates and terrains and are home to many different races and tribes of aliens. There are geographical difficulties. Try this again. There are geographical differences from game to game, but distinct locations recur, such as the Big Blue, Mute City, and Port Town. Circuits are usually set on the outskirts of cities or above them, situated in high planet atmospheres at an elevation as much as 300 feet, or in quotations 91 m above ground. They contain anti-gravitational guide beams on both sides of the course that keep them in place. Rich merchants from cities in the clouds of asteroids with almost habitable environments invested their wealth in the construction of racing circuits. Some cities have multiple circuits, where circuits are not used for the Grand Prix are open to all pilots for practice. The dynamic structure of the courses are colossal in scale, as most circuits feature a single lap that spans over 6 miles. The vehicles used to race in these video games are known as F-Zero machines, which are designed to hover instead of traveling on wheels. An anti-gravity unit known as the G-Diffuser system, which was first used by Star Fox, by the way, in the R-Wing, allows the F-Zero machine to drive at high speeds while retaining a hold of the track, located from a few inches to the foot below. However, the slip zones, also referred to as the magnetic field block coat in the first F-Zero game, blocks the vehicle from retaining a hold on the track. The racing machines developed for these tracks use the latest in this magnetic technology and are able to perform tune-ups. Out of the over 44 known machines, only 5 do not weigh over the short ton. F-Zero machines have a maximum speed exceeding that that of a sound. This is possible due to the ultra-compact microplasma engines used by the machines. Speaking of the machines, each machine has 4 basic performance attributes: body, boost, grip, and weight. Body and boost and grip are rated on a scale from A to E, with A being the best, E being the worst. The higher a machine's body rating, the more durable it is, and the less damage it will sustain in a collision. Machines with a good body rating are therefore able to withstand more attacks before exploding. The boost rating takes into account the duration of a vehicle's boost and how great a speed increase it provides. A machine with a high rating can travel at a higher than normal speeds for a longer period of time. Grip determines how well a machine negotiates turns. A higher grip rating means that the player's vehicle will execute steadier turns, while a lower one will cause the vehicle to drift more, especially when turning tightly. Weight affects a vehicle's acceleration, grip concerning ability, maximum speed, and the amount of damage it sustains in a collision. A lighter vehicle is superior in the first 3 categories, while a heavier vehicle has the advantage of the latter 2. Now that we discussed the history of the games, broke down the gameplay, let's get into the plot. While there were originally 4 F-Zero pilots in the first game, this has grown with each title to over 40 characters in the later games of the series. Each character has their own unique vehicle, story, and the reason for entering the F-Zero Grand Prix. The winner of the Grand Prix receives a huge sum of prize money, but many pilots have been lost pursuing it. The F-Zero games are derived from the 20th and the 21st century Formula 1 races, and the fictitious F-Max Grand Prix races from the 24th century. The game portrays races in the future as having come under the influence of a wealthy ex-space merchant. They thought that a fast and violent race would be an effective way to get people to gamble, so the ex-merchants established the F-Zero Execution Project. The F-Zero Grand Prix dates to the 26th century and is still sponsored by the wealthy elite who originally organized the execution project for those events. These races feature the most technology-advanced racing machines, competing in numerous circuits of fast-paced action. It is known for its wild fans, usually eccentric competitors. Winners of the Grand Prix receive large sums of money, as well as a great deal of prestige through the universe. The F-Zero games are primarily set on a futuristic Earth in the 26th century, although some games take place much earlier, and some circuits have been set on different planets. Woo! Let me get my breath. F-Zero X defined the F-Max Grand Prix as the precursor to the F-Zero races, which took place during the 24th century. According to the American version of F-Zero DX, the greatest driver in the F-Max Grand Prix was Sterling Lavong, a statement that would lead to inconsistencies in the sequence of events of F-Zero's storyline. F-Zero begins in the year 2560, where the human race countless encounters with alien life forms throughout the universe greatly expanded Earth's social framework, resulting in trade, technology transfer, and cultural interchange, which are carried out in an interplanetary basis. An association of wealthy space merchants created the F-Zero Grand Prix in an attempt to add some excitement to the opulent lifestyles. When the first race was held, people were angered at the brutality of the competition due to the various obstacles and traps along the raceway. As time passed, however, they became accustomed to these dangers and even began to demand more excitement and danger in the races. Winning the F-Zero Championship soon became the highest claim to fame in the universe. The period of time is called the old school F-Zero days, where the rules seemed non-existent in F-Zero X. It's like the Super Bowl. F-Zero X storyline starts after the 7-year suspension of the Grand Prix races due to the horrific grand finale. The game explains that the horrific grand finale was a violent and fiery accident that burnt 14 drivers to death, including Sterling Lavong. During the old days of F-Zero, a racer named Super Arrow escaped unscathed as the only survivor. No racing was allowed by the Federation after the crash. Despite the F-Zero racing prohibition, the sport went underground, where many racers went to hone their skills in secret. The crash ushered in an establishment of the F-Zero Racing Academy, and after a speech by Super Arrow to the Federation of Congress, which helped to lift the ban, the fictional competition was brought back with the rules and regulations revised. In F-Zero Maximum Velocity, it takes place 25 years after the SNES title in the year 2585. Players race against the descendants of the original F-Zero races. Maximum Velocity is considered a reboot continuality to the rest of the home console titles, since the game has made no indication of the safety revisions carried forth after the huge accident. In fact, it stays just like the original F-Zero game, the extreme danger involved when participating in those races. F-Zero GX does not mention the grand finale event, but instead the game states Sterling Levong was racing during the F-Max era and the F-Zero Grand Prix was suspended 4 years ago. This game states the character Mighty Gazelle was injured in a huge accident 4 years ago. The Nintendo 64 game mentions that Mighty Gazelle's accident and the accident that suspended the Grand Prix were two separate events. F-Zero GP Legend is set in a different continuality and begins in the year 2201. It was continued with F-Zero Climax. These games feature some different incarnations of Captain Falcon, Zoda, and other characters. Now that we talked about what the plot was and all that other good stuff, we're going to get into the other stuff we're going to get into the development. F-Zero was one of the launch titles for the SNES that Nintendo Entertainment analysts and development had approximately 15 months to develop completely. In Japan, only it and Super Mario World were initially available for launch. In North America and Europe, Super Mario World shipped with the console and other initial titles including F-Zero Plot Wings, which also demonstrated the console's Mode 7 pixel 3D rendering capability. SimCity and Gradius 3. F-Zero later had a sequel for the SNES that was cancelled, but was released unfinished through the State of View peripheral under the name BS-F/Zero Grand Prix. Takina Imamura, who worked directly on F-Zero throughout its different incarnations, said in 2003, having worked on the F-Zero series and seeing the results of the collaboration with Sega, I found myself at something of a loss as to how we can take the franchise further past F-Zero GX and AX. To get into some other media of what F-Zero produced into the reality of world, F-Zero has appeared in other franchises, most notably in Nintendo's fighting game crossover franchise Super Smash Bros., where Captain Falcon has consistently appeared as a playable character. His moveset is almost entirely original as a Super Smash Bros. Brawl. However, Falcon makes a reference to F-Zero by using the Blue Falcon as his final smash, a powerful single-use special move. The Super Smash Bros. Franchise also features a few stages directly derived from the games, such as Mule City or Big Blue. It includes many other F-Zero characters as virtual trophies, stickers, and spirits. The Blue Falcon appears in Mario Kart Wii as a vehicle, though only small characters can use it. The Blue Falcon also appears in Mario Kart 8, albeit via the Legend of Zelda X Mario Kart 8 downloadable content pack. The same DLC pack also adds a course based on Mule City, while the Animal Crossing X Mario Kart DLC pack adds a course based on Big Blue. A minigame based on the F-Zero series titled Captain Falcon's Twister Race is part of the Wii U ensemble game Nintendo Land. Several playable characters can dress as Nintendo characters in the Wii U version of Tekken Tag Tournament 2, where Brian Fury can take on Captain Falcon's appearance. And of course, F-Zero also inspired anime, so we're going to get into that. F-Zero GP Legend is a 51-episode animated adaptation of the video game series produced by TV Tokyo Dentsu and Eshi Productions, and directed by Emi Tomobuki, with Anashuri Sakai handling series composition, Toyo Arashida designing the characters, and Tanakayuki Narashi composing the music. Shigeru Miyamoto and Tanaka Takanya Emura served as supervisors for the series. I butchered all the names. Lord forgive me, and may they forgive me. It debuted in Japan on October 7, 2003 on TV Tokyo. The first episode aired on September 28, 2004. 4Kids Entertainment licensed the anime series for North American broadcast, according to Gumbo, in North America. In North America, the show was modified by 4Kids, 15 episodes of GP Legend aired on the Foxbox channel in the United States before its cancellation. It was being re-aired on Tokyo MX from 7:30 to 8 every Thursday in Japan. It is a reboot of the franchise taking place in the year 2201. Life forms from all across the galaxy come to complete in the new racing tournament called F-Zero. Police Detective Ryu Sasuke, which is Rick Wheeler in the 4Kids adaptation, is one of the protagonists. He suffers a near-fatal car accident while in pursuit of an escaped criminal named Zoda. Ryu nearly dies and is put in cryogenic suspension until he is revived in the year 2201 by mobile task force members Jody Summer and Dr. Stewart. The task force tries to keep prize money out of the hands of unsavory people like the Doc Miltian organization run by Black Shadow and Deathworm. That organization is responsible for cryogenetically involving Ryu's old enemy Zoda, leading Ryu to join the task force to help take down Zoda and the rest of the Doc Milan, or Million. While pursuing his objectives, Ryu unexpectedly meets up with the legendary racer and bounty hunter Captain Falcon, as well as several other various racers along the way. Captain Falcon is one of the protagonists and is shrouded in mystery. When not racing, he works at a bar that he owns under the name Bert in the 4Kids adaptation. Lemming later, it is revealed that he is Andy Summer, Jody's brother, who supposedly died in the accident that revolved around Zoda, unbeknownst to the rest of the mobile task force for the majority of the series. He fights consistently against the Black Shadow and Dark Million organization and often leads a hand to the task force. Towards the end of the series, the legend of Falcon is told by Ryu by Dr. Stewart. According to the legend, Captain Falcon and Black Shadow are incarnations of light and dark, and in the matter of yin and yang, they cannot defeat each other on their own. Also, in the beginning of the universe after the Big Bang, 6 powerful objects called reactor mites were created, and the one who controls them all gains unimaginable power. It is also revealed that Ryu Sasuke is the savior of the universe and is destined to finally tip the scales in Falcon's favor. During the final battle, Falcon and Ryu team up to destroy Black Shadow's dark matter reactor with their collected reactor mites. But before Captain Falcon fights with Black Shadow, Falcon tells Ryu that the name of Captain Falcon is a title given only to the best. That only the one who can exceed Falcon can become Falcon. After telling this to Ryu, Falcon proceeds to fight Black Shadow's, ending in Black Shadow's defeat and Captain Falcon's sacrifice. Shortly after the battle, Ryu becomes the new Captain Falcon and the driver of the Blue Falcon. The anime uses 2 pieces of theme music in the series, one opening theme and one ending theme. The opening theme is called The Meaning of Truth and is sung by Hero X. And the ending theme is called Resolution and is sung by AI Maria. The video animation for each changes after the first 39 episodes. The final episode did not air with an opening due to the opening theme being played during the final battle scene. And let's get into the reception of Fzero. IGN Lucas Thomas called the design and style of Masked Rider as an influence to the Fzero series, noting its sense of speed while players only have a split second to react before you crash into a rock or an enemy road warrior. Matt Casamiana, forgive me for that, of IGN said in 2003 that the Fzero franchise has remained regarded one of the best video game series in the racing genre. And in 2008, an editor from Pro G stated Fzero GX still ranks as one of the best high-speed racers ever made, but the series has been lying dormant for years. The Tampa Tribune review of GP Legend mentioned that it feels a little strange to see what an historic but outstanding racing franchise attempt to go mass market. Nintendo World Report gave Climax a 7.5 out of 10, with Siluriana praised the fast gameplay and track editor features, but criticized it for feeling more like an expansion pack than a sequel. Shigeru Miyamoto commented in 2007 that past Fzero and Star Fox collaborations with outside development houses turned out to be a disappointment for Nintendo. He stated that consumers got very excited about the idea of those games, but the games themselves did not deliver. And that's why we have no more F-Zeros. That's why we're on the Forgotten series. So let's get into the bright glimes and shimmer and the glimmer of the future of F-Zero. Edge magazine asked Shigeru Miyamoto in April 2012 regarding a future F-Zero installment. Miyamoto stated, "I think at the time F-Zero was a really big surprise, a new thing, a product that made sense, and the Wii and DS lacks to create a similar impact." In June 2015, news site Nintendo Life reported that in early 2011, Nintendo of Europe approached Burnout series developer Sortion Games to work on a pitch for a new F-Zero game, which they hoped to unveil at E3 that same year, alongside the then unreleased Wii U console. and potentially release the game during the console's launch period. However, the developer was unable to handle the pitch. At the time, they devoted much of their resources into the development of Need for Speed Most Wanted for multiple platforms. So look at that. Nintendo went to them. They're like, nah, we're kind of busy. We're doing Need for Speed. And now we have no more F-Zero. Motherfuckers! The site was tipped by an anonymous yet reliable source, but they had confirmed this information when Craton co-founder Alex Ward, who left the company in 2014, admitted that Nintendo of Europe did indeed approach the company for a potential F-Zero game on the Wii U. In April 2019, in an interview, Ward has since confirmed that this report was false. He clarified that he was contacted via an informational email by a very junior, now former Nintendo representative. He added that Criterion Games could never develop any game without authority from parent company and publisher Electronic Arts. And Ward himself is not even interested in the F-Zero series. Yeah, boy, capping! That boy sitting there capping, cap rap. In January 2015, video of Smosh Games, Miyamoto was featured as a guest star and stated that a new installment in the franchise could be possible if Nintendo were to develop a unique controller interface for one of their upcoming consoles that would be suited for a new game. 6 years later, the producer of F-Zero GX, Toshihiro Naragashi, said that he would be open to working with Nintendo on another installment if the company were given the opportunity to do so, and that he would make another future F-Zero game challenging for advanced players, unlike the fun, accessible nature of the Nintendo Mario Kart series. And there you have it, boys. That is the little mini documentary series of F-Zero from your boy HuskeyPuppy over here at NGI. Make sure you stay up to date with all the latest gaming tech news and reviews. Smash that like, and as always, subscribe. Do you think F-Zero is ever going to come back? Do you think they need to bring it back? Do you think that high speed, high integrity vibes of vibrations on the road gonna smash a like, smash a subscribe? And as always, let me know in the comments below if you think F-Zero can speed on out of here into the light years. God bless and peace.